we're live. Thank you so much for joining me today, Renate. This is so exciting.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm really looking forward to our talk.
And I am. I mean, after the last week and seeing the donkeys, I mean, I know they melted my heart. Absolutely. I was like in this happy fuzzy place the rest of the day, you know. It's like, oh, the donkeys, you know, it was wonderful. But if you would tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you're in Austria, and tell us how this work came into being, because it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, so as you said, we live in Austria, and we live about 30 kilometers west of Vienna, and it's an area where there are a lot of forests and really nice area, and we have built up this farm 15 years ago. Well, we have been living here for already 27 years, but so we were born and raised in Vienna, but then we moved outside of the city. And 15 years ago, we decided that we want to have our horses with us. Up till then, we went to different places and we just put them there, and we went there to see them and work with them. But then it was time to really build our own stable and our own farm.
Yeah.
And and since then, all this work has started. Before then, I was a Montessori teacher. We had our own small school and I was working there. But then our children had grown out of it, and we had 4 horses. In the beginning, I was giving riding lessons, very basic, and I was always caring a lot about the horses. What I taught in those days was really to be very respectful with the horse, and that to see you work and you do something together with an animal and with another living being, and it's not like a tennis racket. Yeah, so that's really and that animals have emotions and that we have to care about them, and we really get into contact first before we do anything else. And that it's really a privilege that when a horse allows a person to sit on it, because actually we are enemies to horses. So horses are herd animals, and we are more like the ones who kill them. And so it's really a horse must be very trustful when it allows a person to sit on it. And that's what I always wanted to teach people first before they are allowed to sit on a horse.
Right.
And so what's also very important for me is how they are allowed to live. So we have a huge property. It's about 55,000 square meters. I don't know what's this in feet or inch, or what do you have?
It would probably be in acres. Yeah.
I don't know how many acres this is, but it's really huge.
Yeah.
And that's, for me, that's absolutely important. So we have an open stable, we have a built house with bricks, but we do not have boxes. So we have it's about 120 square meters stable, and it's always open. So they can always decide where they go, if they are either in the stable or if they are out in the field. And in summer now, as we have summer here, they live mostly on the field, and they come up in the morning and look if there are some carrots or whatever, or the water is also up here, so they have to move. They move quite often during the day, but it's always them who decides where they are.
Right.
And yeah, in winter time, of course, we feed hay, and the hay feeding is in the stable. We feed via big nets. So we put the hay in there twice a day. And when they have finished, or if they don't want to stay up here any longer, they go down again.
Right.
And they are also always in the herd. So they are not separated from each other, because that's the most important thing to a horse or to a donkey. They are herd animals. The herd is allowed them to live. They wouldn't have lived, or they wouldn't have survived without the herd. And therefore it's so important that they are kept like this and not separated, or that one horse or one donkey is held alone. That's absolutely cruel, because they so much depend on the others.
I can understand that.
Yeah. And this herd instinct is also what allows, what makes up this healing ability.
Right.
So the herd is only as healthy and as strong as the weakest animal in the herd. So they always try to keep the herd strong. Right. So they are so sensitive that they are always aware when one animal feels sick or has an injury. They all immediately start to heal this animal. Yeah, because it's in their own interest. As I said, the herd is only as strong as the weakest. Yeah. So they immediately start, or they are always doing this, taking away energy where there is too much and giving energy where there is a lack. And if there is something not running through, if it's blocked, they also make it run through. Right. And they're always doing it, always. So that's their ability, that's their way of living. Yeah. And when we enter the property and when we enter the herd, we get part of it. Right. So what they do, they start what they do amongst them. So they immediately feel in what shape the person is. They read the energetic signature of the person coming and start. They start to equalize and they start with a healing process. Wow. And that's so amazing to feel how that actually works and how different they react towards, depending on the person who's coming. Yeah, it's bound to depend on the person. I've got a question I want to ask, and Joanna is with us watching as well. I remember when I was a child, my grandparents had a small holding, and this one girl used to keep ponies there. Mm-hmm. And she was very comfortable around horses. She'd grown up with them. So, you know, there was no fear or anything. And I always remember we'd gone for a walk and there was a horse on its own in this field. And she climbed over the gate into the field and started walking up to it. And it turned around, it put its ears flat back, and she turned and ran for the gate. Yeah.
and threw herself over, and the horse chased her.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised about that, because I thought she was so comfortable with how she interacted with horses. And I couldn't understand why it reacted like that towards her.
So she was not familiar with this particular horse?
No.
No. And was this horse on the field all by its own?
Yes.
Yeah. So what I get is that this horse thought that she's kind of an enemy, and was afraid, and therefore reacted before and threw her out.
Right.
Normally, the horses, they do protect the herd. And they are very clear on that. I would like to share an incident we had when I was doing one of the classes. It's a couple of years ago, and we were on the field, and I had about, I think it were five women, and we were all in this nice space, touching and feeling energy, and everything was very, very soft,
right,
and smooth, and then I kind of saw something a bit further away on the grass, some movement, and I didn't quite realize what it is, but all of a sudden, four horses started to run towards this object, and it was a wounded animal, but I have to look it up what it is in German, in English. It's because I don't know that. It's an otter.
Otter.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so there was an otter, and it probably was wounded, but it was a big one, like this. And so four of the horses ran over and tapped onto it with the hooves and tried to kill it, because this otter is a danger to the herd. And this lasted for about not even a minute. Yeah, and this animal was crying and then left, and I didn't see it again. I don't know if it was going to die or survived, but it was gone. And immediately afterwards, really immediately, horses got back, put their face again and their mouth on the grass and started to eat again. So there was suddenly intense action to save the herd, and within 2 minutes later, everything was peaceful again, and there was nothing left in the horses. They have done their job. There is no danger anymore, so let's go back. Yeah. And I remember in this class, the people were so upset. They were still thinking about what happened, and they couldn't calm down. The animals were peaceful again, really within four minutes. Yeah. This was really, and that also shows that they can protect themselves.
Mm. Jenny is with us as well.
Yeah. Hi, Jenny.
But you know, that particular field where she went into was actually a public right of way, you know, a footpath for walkers. And how would people know whether or not they can walk across a field with a horse in it not be chased?
I probably wouldn't, if there is a single horse, especially, because a single horse must be in some way traumatized, because it's not with others. It's not a normal way of keeping a horse. Mm. A horse needs a companion, at least one.
Yeah.
3 or 4 are better, but at least the second one.
Right.
Otherwise, they react traumatized, and you can never be sure what will happen.
I'm so glad to know that, because I've often been criticized for not going into a field.
Yeah. Believe your own knowing. That's it.
And I've had so many people say to me, they won't hurt you. They wouldn't be here, if, you know, where people can walk, if they would hurt you. And I've always been like, no, because I don't know that horse.
Yeah.
I don't know who owns it. I don't know how it's been treated.
Right.
So I don't know how it's going to react to me.
Yeah. That's how it is. Yeah.
So when people come to you for healing and they go in with you with the herd, is there anything you have to do to introduce them to the herd?
Well, when people who come to me, they do not go in there by themselves. I'm always with them. And of course, my animals are used to people who come, and they are familiar also with groups. But still, it's always you enter the space of the animals.
Yeah.
And it never has happened anything dangerous since I have been doing this amongst the animals. When people come, when people are fearful, I first introduce them to the herd, still standing on the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
And only as soon as they are ready and they say, okay, so let's go inside, we do so. Once or twice I had people coming who didn't want to have the whole herd with them. Then we work with the donkeys only. As you saw the other day, it's very easy with them. People are less afraid of them because they're smaller, and they have perhaps a more inviting energy than the horses have. But often people who are afraid are much easier with the donkeys than with the horses.
Right.
But when I come with a client, the horses are already aware of the fears the person has who comes.
Right.
And if there is the fear that they are too narrow, and immediately they give space. They go away. They do not come to the table, but they go away. The other week, I had a client, and she had a lot of pressure, and she said everything is so tense and everything is so close, and she doesn't have space. And she said that, and immediately the horses even galloped down to the very last field we have. So they sense it. They sense that this person needs space, and they give it to her.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It is. I would now like to share my screen.
Yes, please do. And
so, can you see?
Yes.
Okay, so this is my herd, and that's one of the fields which are quite far away.
Right.
Okay, so that's the wrong way. I start again. No, that's yeah, there we are. So that's right next to the stable. So so where we look down to the fields, and the stable is on the other side. So we have an area where they can move around the stable. The donkeys are not always with the horses. They are kind of a herd within the herd. Sometimes they connect and they go together, but often the donkeys are for themselves.
Oh, look at that.
That's, yeah, obviously winter.
Yes.
So there you can see the stable,
Yeah,
the red building.
that's beautiful. And it's lovely. They just come and go.
Yes, they can come and go whenever they want to, and they mainly come as a group, as a herd animal. They one in shows mainly the lead horse says, okay, we go now, and then the whole herd is following.
And which one is the lead?
You can see this white and brown one on
Yeah.
this picture. This one, that's Sparky.
Yeah.
We got him as a colt when he was about 2 years old, and he is now 22.
Wow.
He was I gave him as a present to my eldest daughter for her 13th birthday. So now she's 13. She turns 33 now, and yeah. So he is the boss of the herd at the moment.
Right.
So there we have our 3 donkeys you met last week. Oh.
Yes. Oh, that's so amazing. I love that. That's just pure love in that face, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
wow.
so. And here we have it's a friend of mine, it's Doris, and here you can see the work I'm doing.
Yeah.
With I have a special name in it for I created a name for it in German, and it's like taking a bath in horse energy, because it's what it feels like. So when a person comes to me, I invite her to choose a place where she wants the massage table to be put. And it can either be in the stable or close to the stable, as you see,
Yeah.
or it can be on the field. I have other pictures you can see. It differs where we put the table, because I'll always let the person decide.
Right.
Because the person who comes knows what she needs and knows the best place. And then I do Reiki on the person, and I also use the energy of alchemy of the body. I learned from Greg Bryars. And what we do, and this the other day when you did this meditation, this heart coherence,
yeah,
meditation, it reminded me of that, because the energy of alchemy of the body starts with that you think about something you are totally grateful for.
Right.
And you do not only think about it, but you feel it, you sense it with your whole body. And this gratitude, to me, is the same as the universal love. This is, for me, it's the same, because you create a space where there is no judgment.
No.
And so
it expands out.
Yeah, right. It expands completely. And therefore it felt so familiar when you did it. It felt so familiar for me, because it was the same as gratitude.
Yes.
And yeah, so I invite the person to go in a space of gratitude, and then all the barriers go down and the person can expand. And then it looks like this. The horses, as I said, they try to find or they start working immediately. You see, one is working at the feet, the other one on the head.
Yeah.
And do the work, and I am just supporting. So that's inside the stable. You see Nayori, this horse, working on the base chakra.
Yeah.
And the others, every horse is involved. It's so we have donkeys here again. Yeah, that's I made an advertisement. So that's what I offer, and it's in German. But you can see all the horses we have are standing around the table.
Yes. It just feels such a pure energy.
Yeah, pure energy. It's he opens up.
Yeah.
Third eye. And then when you're in this space, you connect with the horses. Yeah. And the realm of the horses is so huge. Yeah. And it's connected to all the horses all over. And it makes up, and wow, it's mind blowing.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much love in the horse's expression. I mean, you can just see the love, can't you?
And no one tells them to do so. So that's completely their own choice.
Yeah.
So I don't like to force horses to do anything, but it's them who are willing to stay there because they can go out to the field.
Yeah.
The doors are open, they can go.
Yeah, they're not shut there. They can wander.
So there I have a client, and she wanted to be outside.
Yeah.
So, and what happens often is that so I'm doing the session, and the horses support, and then there is a time when they decide it's finished. Yeah. And then they go.
Wow.
For them, then it's over. So they think, okay, energy is well enough, everything's fine, and then they leave.
So they just judge that the healing is done.
Yeah, right. That's what they do. And the other day when I said I had this client and she needed space, we were out in the field, and the horses were all the time they were far away. And then they decided, okay, it's done. They all come close to the table and kind of say, okay, it's done. And then they went on to the other field. But on their way, they passed by and said, okay, hi, so we are done, bye-bye.
That's wonderful, isn't it?
It's so amazing. It's often difficult to explain or to describe. It's just the pictures work on their own.
They do. They do. I mean, you can feel the energy and the love.
Yeah.
And the care.
Yeah. And all this non-judging. So there is not anything. They will never judge you. It is as it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
So, when they feel tension in the body,
yeah,
they yawn.
Oh, right.
And by yawning, they let go of the tension in the body they are working on.
Oh, right.
It can be yawning. It can be licking with a lick, with a tongue on their lips. It can be chewing. Yum, 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 yum.
Yeah.
They pee. They shit. So they release. They help the other body to release. And often this happens so often that they start yawning over when they are connected with the body.
Wow.
Yeah, so this was a very intense session when you go into the energy of this picture.
Yeah.
there were it were 4 horses. You can see the fourth one. It's behind the brown one on the right hand side. So all the big horses we have were standing on above the table, and every horse had its mouth on another chakra, and they didn't move for about 20 minutes.
Wow.
And this lady, she lost her child before being able to give birth, but it was in the last month. So she was 9 months pregnant, and then she lost the baby. And it's only, I think, 2 months ago, and she couldn't grieve very well, but it's all stuck in the body. All the grief and all the sadness, and they were so intensely working on her.
Yeah, you can see you can see the intensity in the photograph.
You're right. And when I look at it, I get goosebumps again, because she didn't allow tears to come, not even in the session.
Wow.
So that's all stuck in the body, and they really, really tried their best, and they didn't leave because they haven't finished. They felt that it's not done. Yeah. I think I have another one of this. Yeah, that's the same session. So you can see all the 4 horses are standing here, the big ones, and not moving, peacefully standing for 20 minutes. Working with all their energy they have and trying to heal this body.
Yeah. Wow.
There you see another. This is Roxy, the black and white one.
Yeah.
And you see she's also yawning, and her tongue is hanging out.
Yes.
That's also when they help the body on the table to release and to let go of tension.
Wow. Is there any reason why one leg is covered with a blanket and not the other?
No, absolutely no reason. I think it was because of the flies, or there is no. I always bring a blanket and a pillow for the head, and a pillow underneath the knees, so that the people can lay down comfortably. And now it's summer, it's hot, but I still bring a blanket because often there are flies, and people don't like to be bitten by the flies. But no, there is no reason for that. So again, when a horse is standing right to your feet, so really the energy enters through the feet chakra and then through the base chakra, and it goes down, it goes up to the whole spine, and it's incredible to feel it, just to sense that.
Wow, I bet it is.
Yeah. So that's my friend again.
I mean, it must be amazing to feel the energy no matter where they stand.
Yeah. And of course, the energy is also working when they're out on the field, and the table is in the stable, because as I posted this, the energy of the horses is so huge. It actually doesn't matter, but it's, of course, it's more. It's also for the mind that the horses are so close that you feel it more intensely, but it works also when they are not that close.
Yeah.
So that's when we are doing a class, So we also offer classes for the weekend, and
Right.
then we have things we do with the people inside without the horses. We work with crystal balls,
Yeah.
and we do meditation. And my husband is a psychotherapist and a psychologist, and yeah, we also support the mind. And then we work with the we do energetic exchanges, supported by the donkeys mainly.
Yeah.
And then we also work with the whole herd and with the people, but not on the table, but then there are certain tasks the people can do with the animals, because the animals also always mirror the problems or the issues people come with. It's I showed another one, then I talk about the class further. So you see they line up.
Yes.
And they just hold the space.
Wow, that's just amazing, isn't it? I mean, it's so intentional.
Yeah.
That's what's really striking about it, is the fact that you can't say, oh, they're just standing around.
No, you feel it, what they're doing.
Oh, it's so intentional where they've placed themselves.
Yeah. They know exactly where to go.
Yeah, you can see that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Tessa. That's the horse who, this was my horse for 20 years, and she died last year.
Oh.
And with her, I learned this communication with the horses. She was my teacher for all that time, for all those years, and especially during her last 2 years, she taught me how to communicate with the horses. It was I owed it to her and to a friend in Australia, to animal communicator I met 2 years ago, to Angie Bryas, and yeah, she taught me that, and through those two, I'm now able to do this work on a deeper level. It's yeah, I owe her this.
That's beautiful photograph.
Yeah. And she's yeah, she's always around when I work, and she supports in the classes. And to me, it's that way that people have to learn to communicate with horses, yeah,
Yeah.
with animals. It's some were born with this, but many are not. But it's the same with the animals. Not all of them are immediately able to communicate with another species.
Yeah.
And there is also a teaching going on, and that's what she's doing. So Tessa is also teaching other animals how to better communicate with people. And that's, she often comes in with messages, and she was the one who told me that I should step forward and talk about the work I'm doing more in public, and that I shall introduce this to people, because it's so important work, because the animal kingdom is more and more wants to connect with people and help them to heal, and show them the way back so that people get more aware that we are connected to one another, that we are all one. The horses have never forgot about that. So I come back to my screen. Where do I do that? Stop. Yeah, so the horses have never forgot that they are all one. Yeah,
No,
they do not have this ego as we have, and just the ego tells us we are separated and everyone has to work for his own and not to interact, but this egoic thinking, and that it's time to let go of this egoic thinking, and that they can show us how to, that we get more aware that we are all one, that there is no separation.
no.
That we are all these infinite beings in a finite body, and that that animals, that farms like I have shall come into existence all over the world, so that people can easily come and join and find out for themselves and heal themselves and get back this connection.
Yeah.
It's about 2 months ago that she gave me this message, and yeah, so I'm very happy that I can speak in your group today, because that's again one step forward, and to talk to people and tell them about what's possible with animals, and
Yeah.
they're eager and willing to do so.
Yeah, and I know we've got conversation here, and I totally just lost in looking at the pictures, and I haven't kept up with anybody's chat. I'm sorry. So maybe you could drop in and answer what people have said, because I've just been too engrossed. And I was enjoying just feeling the energy from the photographs that I couldn't give my attention anywhere else.
I have a Facebook group, and it's called Entdecke dein Ur-Ich. I will post it.
Yeah, if you drop into the comments on here after, and just put your group and how people can connect with you, and answer their questions, or whatever they've said, because I've not been conveying it to you. That would be wonderful, so they know how to connect with you, and whether if anybody in the group wants to explore visiting you and experiencing it, or maybe even with an interest of doing something similar themselves.
Yeah, right.
And I mean, I know Natasha in the group talks with dolphins and whales, and they're very connected in the ocean, and it just makes me so aware of how all one we are.
Yeah, we are.
And ocean, land, sky, it's where there is no separation, is there?
It isn't. Yeah. And that's, as Tessa said, that's the animals are aware of what's going on within mankind, and they try to figure out how they can be supportive, and therefore there are places like mine all over the world, and that there should be more, and there will be more as people talk about it and bring it more into existence, make it more visible.
Yes, yeah.
What's possible with the animals.
Yeah, because it's a special connection, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's something to be so cherished. Because and the animals, it's not one-sided, is it?
No,
it's not just that we are taking from the animals.
Absolutely not. It's a giving and a receiving and giving.
Yeah,
It's both ways.
Yeah, and that's important, isn't it?
Yeah,
And I think that's the difference. Like, you've got the gates open,
yeah.
so they choose to be where they are.
They choose, yeah. They are not forced to.
If it was closed in, then it would just be taken, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But the fact
But
that it's,
yeah, and but still the animals always fill up their sources immediately. They are always connected with the earth and with the universe, so they are much more in the flow. But yeah, if they would be forced to support, yeah, they run out of energy.
yeah,
That's why I don't like it. That's also why I don't like it, horses, to use horse in therapy when they're, let's say, like enabled people and sitting on the horse and being when people ride the horses one after the other, and the horse is not asked if it wants to join or not, it just has to. I
yeah,
don't like that.
yeah, yeah. So in the ideal, the horses that somebody with disabilities or who need the closeness of the horses like that, the horse should be able to walk up to them,
Yeah.
and then they put the saddle on,
Mm-hmm.
and then when the person finishes, they take it off,
Mm-hmm.
and then the horse decides if it goes on to the next person
Right.
or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not done, is it? Normally
No,
they're just saddled up and
and they have to work hour after hour, and with when you imagine how sensitive a horse is,
yeah,
what impact it makes when there is one person after the other sitting on it, yeah, connected via the base chakra, yeah, that's so intense, yeah. That's why also many horses, or most of the horses which are used in riding schools, they are completely numb, yeah, they have shut down every sense they have, because it's simply too much, yeah, they can't stand it with this perception they have to shut down their perception, and then they're traumatized.
yeah, yeah. And I've seen that they
Yeah.
they don't look really present, do they?
Yeah, they are shut down. It's perhaps also kind of like a disconnection. They have disconnected the mind from the body, and they just function. They function what they're supposed to do, but the connection is gone.
Yeah, I had a funny experience once. I've not been very good at ever staying on.
Mm-hmm.
I've always fallen off really easily with being on a horse. I do a bit better bareback than with a saddle, believe it or not. But I went with friends to this trek.
Mm-hmm.
We did this trek, and there was nobody else going after or before. The horses did one trek a day, and I was on this horse, and when we got to this, we went up around these mountains, and then we ended up on the road, and we were all told we had to dismount and lead the horse down because it was quite steep and it was on a road. And somebody said to me as they went past, if the horse slips on this and falls on you, it'll kill you. Right? Last thing I needed to hear was that. So they ended up sending somebody out to find me, because I was so slow in getting the horse back, because every time a foot slipped, I stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at it and stroking it and saying, you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to fall. And we'd walk a bit further and a foot would slip and I'd stop again. And I was so long getting back because I didn't want us to fall and I didn't want the horse to fall. But by the time we got back, it was completely relaxed.
Well, the horse felt your fear, and when you're afraid, horses know what fear is, and it reacted on behalf of it. So it's, of course it was calm then, because when you're fear and the horse would get upset, it's the other, it won't support you.
Yeah, but everybody wondered where I was, you know, because I was so long.
Yeah.
It was so funny, but the worst thing they could have said to me, you know, if it slips and falls on you, it'll kill you.
A really encouraging comment.
Yes. So yeah, but this has been such a wonderful conversation.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the space you're offering, and it was so light and so fun to talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and thank you everybody who's joined us. And I'm sorry I haven't said everybody who's here, and thank you to everybody who watches later as well. And Renate, thank you so much.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
And oh yes, and I did. I mean, I've not paid attention or anything, but I'm sure everybody will forgive me because it's been so wonderful to see the photographs and the intention. You know, you could see the love and care and intention from them, and that was wonderful.
So, and if anyone gets into contact with me, I will post my Facebook group and my homepage underneath.
Yes.
Yeah, and if there are any questions, just message me and ask me.
Thank you. I'm going to stop the live stream now. So we're going to say goodbye to you all, and thank you for watching.